Hey folks, BlackCross here, and welcome to another video game review, guys. This one is going to be interesting because this is going to be an entry into a series of games that I'm finally getting to dive into. Got this massive list of games that are in my backlog, not including the PlayStation 2 Legacy, because that's obviously for a separate video series and stuff, but I finally get to tackle in all of these games that I hadn't had a chance to play for quite some time. And now I'm going to do that for your entertainment. So yeah, these are games that I finally get to dive into. And I figured the first set that I get to dive into is the Gundam Dynasty Warrior games. Games such as 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and kind of get through the bases real quickly so that way you get caught up with what type of person I am when it comes to the Gundam series. My particular entry into the Gundam series is very lukewarm, if you will. The only anime shows that I've seen are G Gundam and Gundam Wing, with a little bit of Mobile Suit Gundam kind of sprinkled in there. I'm right now kind of rewatching it to kind of get my memory in with the series and stuff like that. Also, too, I would like to kind of look through the other series. It's one of those things where it's like, since I'm still kind of like, I suppose the word I'm looking for is noobish into the Gundam series, because I mean, everyone's heard of G Gundam and Gundam Wing, but I feel like only hardcore fans know the original Mobile Suit Gundam series. Then of course there's Z and Double Zeta. Then there's 0083, known as Stardust Memory. Then there's Unicorn Gundam, 00 Gundam. Translation, there's been a lot of Gundam series that's come out since the original days. And in terms of that, most of my enjoyment actually comes from the games, really. You know, it's sort of like how, you know, you come to enjoy the Witcher series, and you think to yourself, oh, I'll look at the books and the Netflix series, only to realize the game is actually better than any of those. So why am I even diverting into other territories? But either way, though, yes. So, naturally, I wanted to get into the Gundam games and everything like that, and I've been in a very Gundam mood, if you will, for a while. I've been in a very mech fighting game mood. And I figured, I played the first one, so let's go play the other two finally. So naturally, I dived back into the first one, just kind of refresh my memory a little bit, you know, just kind of refresh it a little bit. And basically, let's go ahead and go through the scenario in which where you're basically going to be going through for the next 3 games. So what is it exactly? Well, you're kind of replaying through the story of the original Gundams, followed by playing a newly developed story that is specifically for the Dynasty Warrior Gundams. So you have 2 modes. You have official mode, which is the official story of the Gundam series, and then of course you have mission mode, which is basically the Gundam Dynasty Warrior storyline, along with a few other extra missions, depending. Now, of course, with both the first and the second one, if you play through official mode, you get to unlock the characters. These are characters such as Armano, Char, Camille, Judah, basically those characters that have been featured into the main series. And then, of course, once you have locked them, then you can play them into mission mode through that segment. And then in mission mode, you pretty much have a set character, such as Hero from Gundam Wing, you have G Gundam, and then of course you have Turna Gundam, you know, just stuff that's kind of like the face familiarity of Gundams per se. Now, of course, with that being said, what all do you do during the gameplay, aside from obviously reenacting the story and stuff like that? Well, in some cases, you're just basically taking over areas, beating Mobile Suit Gundams, per se, you know, the main Mobile Suit boss characters and stuff, and they basically more or less kind of help construct what needs to be done, you know? Yeah, you could try to take over the entire area, but you're going to be swarmed by enemies regardless, and these enemy leaders need to be defeated. So that's basically the concept, you know? You go through the area, you kind of clear out the area of the regular enemies, but in some cases you may have to face off against a command leader or a main Mobile Suit leader per se. And that basically kind of sums up the entirety of the Gundam Dynasty Warrior games. That basically sums it up in bare bones minimum, and it's kind of the same way with the first one. However, though, after replaying through the first one, I've realized something. I don't remember playing this game at all, apparently. Like, the only thing I remember about Dynasty Warrior Gundams is Musha Gundam, being introduced to Musha Gundam, and absolutely loving the design of Musha Gundam. I mean, I talked about it before in some cases, but I love Musha Gundam. Musha Gundam is a badass looking character. But that's the only thing I remember. I don't remember anything else about this game. I don't remember... I feel like I've beaten it 100% one time. But I don't know how I did it. I don't know how, because I have quite a lot of complaints about the first one. So the first complaint that I have about this is that basically all the Gundams, in terms of their accessories, parts, and upgrades that they can get, they have to earn on their own. So say, for example, you've unlocked a part that basically increases your overall attack power and stuff, right? You would think that, oh, I want to put that on my other Gundam as well. Well, you can't. Why? Because they've earned their own set. Basically, for every new Gundam you play as, you get a whole different group of accessories that they can only use. No other Gundams can use them. Which kind of sucks, because I've been familiar with the Dynasty Warrior games, not the main series, mind you, but the spin-offs like Sengoku Basara, Hyrule Warriors, and stuff like that. And in those games, the accessories that you've earned, you could use them on other characters, you know? There's no restrictions other than the fact that one character can't use the same accessory twice, obviously. But all other characters can still use the same accessory regardless. In this game, however, though, you can't. Which is a bummer, because it's like, oh, I can't do that. Shit. So you have to start from the very beginning for each Gundam to build them up and upgrade them and stuff like that. And it feels tedious. It's very tedious, sadly. It's one of those things where it's like, you literally start from ground one for each character, and then you build them up. And at first it doesn't sound bad, but when you're doing this for every single Gundam, you see where the problem comes in. Every Gundam you play as, you have to rebuild them from scratch. Basically, say you play through as Armano, play as him, you get a set of accessories that he can equip and power him up, but then you have to go through another character, go through completely zero, no accessories or anything like that, go through the campaign, try to get accessories and stuff like that. And at first that doesn't seem bad until you realize something else. The game's hard. Even on easy. That's how bad this is, okay? It goes from, oh yeah, this is easy, this is okay, to all of a sudden, you get your ass kicked. And I think that's the biggest problem that I have with the first one, is the fact that the areas are big, but it takes a long time before you get anywhere. The zones are harder to attain, the enemies are actually harder to take down, and in a game in which where you earn accessories and you can't carry them over to other Gundam pilots and stuff like that, that kind of sucks. That sucks in the sense of like, oh, I can upgrade, oh, I can't, because they don't carry over to other Gundams. Shit. So yeah, it gets hard after a while, and it's one of those things where I feel like they needed to level out the difficulty a little better, especially considering the fact that, like I said before, I was playing it on easy. And you know your game is hard when someone says, even on easy mode is hard. Yeah, Dark Souls can't get away with that. They have no difficulty. There is how you build your character and stuff like that. In this game's case, no, it's how you survive. Now, you could alternately go through the previous areas and beat them, and while you're leveling up the pilot and stuff like that, you're also getting new parts and stuff like that, and that's fine. But in a Dynasty Warrior game like this, that feels tedious, especially when you consider the fact that, say for example, again, you're playing official mode, trying to unlock the characters for mission mode, and you hadn't really unlocked them, so therefore you're having to replay through like just 2 missions that you've unlocked it for them before you can even progress through the next one. It can be a tedious at times, I feel like. And after a while, I just wasn't having fun with the first one. And that's kind of sad, because I was actually wanting to unlock Musha Gundam again. But with me playing through the first one again and playing through it and realizing the problems that it has, I just didn't want to go through that. The game's slow, and despite the fact that you do have a boost, it doesn't really carry you through the majority of the area and stuff like that. Even in deep space, yes, even in space, you're pretty slow. And it sucks, because it's like, it's a fun gameplay mechanic, but because of all the stuff, not being able to carry accessories to other Gundams, the battlefield areas take too long before you complete one segment, and say for example you do get to the very end where there's a bigger enemy that needs to be took down and stuff like that, all of a sudden they beat your ass, there goes 30 minutes of gameplay that you just wasted. So, and you don't even get anything out of it, you get a small experience and that's about it. I don't know how far I was able to play the original whenever I did, but somehow I did. Somehow I unlocked a Musha Gundam. I don't remember, because it's like, what? How? How did I end up liking this? And I actually looked through, and there were some people that actually didn't like the first Dynasty Warrior Gundams. And that surprised me. I was like, I liked it somehow. But now that I'm replaying it, I didn't like it at all. So I was like, okay, I played enough of the first one, let's go ahead and move on to the second one, right? So yeah, we move on to the second one, and I have to say, it's way better than the first one. The complaints that I've had with the first one definitely fixed itself in the second one. The second one, they fixed a lot with it. For example, number one, all parts are attainable throughout the board. Any parts that you've attained it for a certain Gundam gets to be carried over to other Gundams as well. And basically you're earning a set number of parts. You know, you're earning the torso, the legs, the arms, and basically they're for any Gundam per se, you know. So say for example you earn a part for Master Gundam, that Master Gundam is upgraded now. So when you finally do play as Master Gundam or Burning Gundam, and they've attained it any upgrades whatsoever, they're going to be powered up. So that makes it so much nicer. The fact that, hey, your upgrades carry over to other Gundams depending on what parts you've earned, which is cool. I love that. I was able to actually beat through official mode this time around, and not only that, in mission mode, they added 2 extra story campaigns. These are, of course, Armano and Char's counterattack story progression. And I think that was like a recent story that was added with Char's counterattack, and it was like, oh, this is actually interesting. This is actually pretty enjoyable. And I beat through all of official mode. I didn't do that for the first one. The second one, however, though, I did beat through all of it, and I got all those characters unlocked for mission mode, which I thought was cool. So now we got to play through mission mode, and I have to say, holy crap. If you want to have a game where, you know those lists that people describe of if you were on a deserted island and you could only have like a certain number of games that you could have on this deserted island, whatever rules and regards that you have, this game would be that one. Why? There's a lot of missions. There's a lot of missions for mission mode, okay? There's a lot. There's a lot of characters that you get to play as. There's new Gundams that's added onto it. Gundams that I hadn't even heard of. I hadn't even heard of F91. I hadn't heard of Seabok. Hadn't heard of Uso. I hadn't heard of some of these other characters. I was like, who are these guys? So this was a whole new set of characters that I get to learn about the Gundam universe. And I'm just like, holy shit. And this is where I started to do a deep dive into the Gundam series. We'll get to there shortly soon. You'll find out more. There's more to them. But it was just so interesting. I was like, holy crap, there's so many Gundams now. I have so many options. So yeah, in mission mode, for each character that you've unlocked it for mission mode, they've got their own set of story campaign for mission mode. That specific character has a set storyline that they can go through. After that, they have their own, they have a whole bunch of missions that you can go through. There's free missions, where there's certain missions that are like, hey, you've killed 1,000 enemies or something like that. You've beaten 10 missions. Here's a mission for you. Then there's extra missions, where these are kind of like hard mode only missions. Then there's extra missions, where there's a whole bunch of extra missions. there's a thing called friendship missions, which basically help increase your friendship with other pilots and stuff like that. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but just to let you know, there's a shit ton of missions that you can go through and stuff like that. And it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of missions. And that's cool. I love that. I love having so many missions to do and stuff like that. But then we went into the one thing that I have a big complaint about. The biggest complaint that I have for Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2. And this is my only complaint, okay? This is my only complaint. All pilots have to earn the ability to pilot these Gundams. Each pilot can only pilot whatever Gundam they're mostly known for piloting. And then whatever other Gundams that they can pilot, whatever they can't pilot, they have to earn them through license mission. These license missions, straightforward. You beat the mission, you get the license to pilot these particular Gundams and stuff like that. But then we get into another situation. So, remember whenever I said about the friendship missions and stuff like that? So, there's a system in the game where basically you have the ability to grow friendship with any of the pilots and stuff like that. So, say for example, you're playing as Armano, you play as him, you can increase all the other characters' friendship and stuff like that. Say you're playing as either Domo, or if you're playing as Master Asia, or Hero. Whatever character you're playing as, you get to level up friendship ranks with all the other pilots that you don't play as in that particular mission mode with that character. So yeah, you're basically increasing their ranks. However though, their ranks can also decrease. Yes, they can decrease. For every time they're on your side and they survive, and everything like that, their rank goes up. But for every single time they're on the enemy side and you have to shoot them down, or take them down or whatever, their rank will go down. So it becomes this seesaw effect of like, okay, I have to have my characters raised in ranks in order to play through this specific mission that I'm trying to get to. But if I'm not careful, I may end up hurting myself in the long run in order to get that certain mission. So yes, there are certain missions that are restricted based on friendship ranks with other pilots and stuff. So this becomes a very tedious task of trying to get the pilots onto your side to where you can raise their ranks. You don't pick them, they randomly show up. Which kind of sucks, especially when you know that they could also be on the enemy side, and that means that their rank will go down. So it's like, oh my gosh. How do I know all this? Why is this an important detail? Because there are two Gundams that you get to unlock in this game. Musha Gundam, as to be expected, and a new one known as Musha Gundam Mark II. So, yes, you get to unlock these two Gundams and you get to pilot them. However, though, the way to unlock them is a little bit lengthy, so bear with me. So first of all, how do we unlock the Musha Gundam? Because I feel like you need to know that before we could talk about Mark II. So to unlock Musha Gundam, you have to beat a mission called 3,000 enemy shot down. Beat that mission, and all of a sudden, not only do you have the ability to unlock the parts to make Musha Gundam, but you also get a new set of missions that you have to beat, known as Trials of the Past. And basically, it's a set of missions that you need to beat with certain characters and stuff. You have to have these characters, certain characters have to be at the rank of Trust or above, which is very high, ridiculously high in fact. So the first mission has Armano and Char. So you have to have their friendship rank to Trust or above. Then you have to go through the tedious task of reloading the menu and stuff like that until you get a mission where it has one, if not both of those characters that you're trying to raise their ranks. And for the love of God, I hate this. Having to go through the menus back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, just to get a particular character that I'm trying to raise their ranks. So that way I can actually finally play through these stupid-ass missions. These stupid missions that requires me to have their friendship ranks at a higher rank. And it's just, oh my gosh. It was so tedious and stupid, and not only do you have to do this for one mission, you have to do this to up to 4 missions. Yes, more. So it's like, oh my gosh, why? Why? So not only do you have 2, 4, 6, you also have a whole bunch of other characters that you have to raise their ranks up in order to trust or above, so that way you can participate in this particular mission. Then, once you finally do get to do these missions, then you get to unlock the mission that allows you to have the license to pilot the Musha Gundam. It is so ridiculously stupid, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? I want to play as the Musha Gundam. Is there a problem with that?
But Chris, don't you already own the Musha Gundam?
Oh yeah, I do, don't I? So yeah, that's how you unlock Musha Gundam. Now we talk about Mark II. And Mark II is a little bit easier, because to do that one, you have to beat mission 50 missions completed mission. After that, then you unlock a new set of missions. Beat those. Thankfully, they're a little bit more straightforward. Basically, is that you have to beat the past part something or other. You have to beat all those to beat this one. Then you get to have the mission that allows you to have the license to do the Mark II. So yes, if you want to do both Mark I and Mark II, you have to go through that entire segment of annoying missions. And not just that. So here's where the biggest problem that I have. So, say for example, you do that for one character. You do that for one character. Just one character. And you play through with another character. You have to do all of that again. Yes, you have to raise the ranks for that character. For those other characters' friendship ranks, you have to get them rose up just so that way you can do those stupid-ass missions, so that way you can do the license missions, just so you can pilot the Gundam. Yes, you have the Gundam, but you can't pilot it until you have the license attained for that character. And you have to do that for every character. Do you know how many characters there are in the game? Do you know? I didn't count! I'm losing my absolute mind! As much as I love Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2, I cannot say for a fact that I would want to go back through that again. Just to replay through it with another character and unlock a new set of licenses for that character. Do that for another character and another and another. You get the ideal. So yeah, while yes, in terms of gameplay, it is definitely better, and in terms of being able to raise the ranks of the Gundams and stuff like that, upgrading them and everything like that, is better. And I do love the mission modes, absolutely love them. I cannot say for a fact that I like it because of the friendship ranks and then, of course, having to re-unlock the licenses for other pilots and stuff like that. I feel like that's tedious as all hell, and I absolutely, I don't want to do that again. That's, oh gosh, going back in and forth. The PlayStation 3 crashed on me twice during this process of going back into menus and stuff like that. All of a sudden the game freezes and I'm like, did it crash? It crashed. And it's like, I'm surprised the PlayStation 3 has not broke because of the menu swapping. I absolutely hate that. It's just, So now we get on to the third Dynasty Warrior games. We get through the third Dynasty Warriors Gundam. And how is this? There's a lot of improvements. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. The gameplay of Dynasty Warriors Gundam 3 took a overhaul. You know, in terms of performance and improvements, everything changed from the graphical side to the gameplay, the movesets, everything's different and everything is better for the better. It is absolutely nuts as to how much better the gameplay is. It's just, I'm blown away. I'm blown away by how much better the third one is. It's just, holy crap. And what's funny is that while I was playing through Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2, I was kind of looking through people's list of, like, you know, top favorite Gundam games and stuff like that, you know? I wanted to see a set list of Gundam games that are considered to be the best in people's minds and stuff like that, you know, the best Gundam games. And while there was a few here and there and stuff like that, this one, however, though, ended up on everybody's list. The third Dynasty Warriors Gundam was everyone's favorite in all the Dynasty Warrior games, which I thought was weird. I was like, okay, so I am planning on playing the third one eventually, so we'll finally get to see why people love it so much. And now that I play it, I now know why everyone loved the third one, because it is way better than the first and second one combined together. Very easily, in fact. So, let me first start off by basically saying that while the gameplay has improved a lot, and I do mean a lot, it's way more funner than what the first and second one done in terms of gameplay. And graphically, it looks beautiful. I love the cel-shaded coloring and stuff like that. It just makes the Gundams pop up so beautifully well. I mean, yeah, the first two, they were supposed to be toned down for realism's sake, and it works, but in terms of like what Gundam is an anime, it makes them look good. It makes them really look good. It makes them pop up. It makes them really captivating for the eyes and stuff. But then we have one other case that I absolutely love, and that is the menus. The menus are perfect. So, in the previous two, you have two particular sets of menus. You have official mode, then you have mission mode. And then after that, you then pick the character, and then you pick the mission that you're going to be playing as. This one, however, though, completely destroys those menus and replaces it with this beautiful, straightforward menu option that is, I don't know how to describe it, but it was basically, it was almost as though as if the developers looked at the reviews for the previous two, and they're like, so we're doing good on the gameplay, but we can probably make the gameplay better. But the menus seem to be a little bit lackluster. Let's see if we can clean up the menu and make certain that people can get to the game and actually get to enjoy the game, you know? And holy crap, did they do that. Basically, you have set number of characters that you get to play as, obviously, from the start. And after that, you then play through set missions, you know? You have either the Dynasty Warriors story campaign, or you have the history campaign, which is obviously official mode. Then you have other mission that gets unlocked later on. So here's your menu setup. It's character, then the missions themselves. Straightforward, simple enough. I love that. It is so simple and straightforward. And you know what the cool thing is? You don't have to replay through these missions over and over and over for every character. The characters have them pre-unlocked it for you. So, say for example, you're playing as Armano, playing as him and stuff like that. If there's a mission that requires a certain character, it will auto-correct itself, and you're piloting that particular pilot that plays in that mission and stuff like that. And then, say for example, you decide, oh, well, let's go ahead and jump into that character anyway. It's already gotten those missions beat for you, so you don't have to worry about beating missions over and over and over for certain characters. No, the mission kind of goes through itself. It starts off with like 4 story segments. You have those who fight, those who doubt, those who pass by, and those who understand. You have those 4 story segments. And then eventually it dives down to 2 story segments known as those who for victory or for peace. And then eventually they all gather together for this single opportune story where it finishes up into Reform. And then after that you also have history, where again, like I said, depending on the pilot for history mode, depends on what character you're going to be playing as and stuff like that. So obviously you're going to be playing through these individual missions. Some of these missions any pilot can play through, but certain missions have to be played with certain characters. So obviously it auto sets itself to where, okay, here's your character and you're playing it as that character instead, you know? And it's very smart, and I absolutely love the menu setup. It's straightforward, simple, and it doesn't hop you around and confuse you. It basically leaves you where you're at. So say for example you're playing as Domo from G Gundam, but you're needing to play through a mission that requires you to play as Camille from Z Gundam. Well, the good news is that it will fix itself to where you're playing as Camille for that mission, and then after you beat the mission, you're back to being as Domo for that particular menu and stuff like that. So in other words, all characters, any way whatsoever, you can play as them. Now, here's a question that I'm sure you're asking. What about piloting as other Gundams? Well, again, they fixed this. They basically straightforward and said, okay, let's make this a little bit simpler. Let's not make this too difficult for people. Let's just make it straightforward. You have set number of Gundams that anyone can play as. Anybody can play them when those Gundams get unlocked. Then you have other Gundams that are like the main series Gundams that can only be unlocked by attaining license. What do you have to do for them? Well, the good news is it's actually straightforward. Play as that particular character's Gundam, play that for 5 missions, and you've unlocked the license to purchase that license. That way, any character can play as that particular Gundam. So, again, like I said, say you want to play as a Unicorn Gundam. Well, all you gotta do is basically play through as the Unicorn Gundam pilot with that Gundam, launch it for 5 missions, and then, yeah, you unlock the license for them. Now, admittedly, the license are very expensive, but eventually, if you get far enough into the game, you will actually attain the ability to earn more Gs, which is basically where your currency goes for purchasing license for Gundams, purchasing skills, upgrading your Gundams, you know, straightforward. And I love how they have this setup. It's clean, it's straightforward, it's simple, it's easy to navigate, and it's just, it's wonderful, and I absolutely love it. Now, I feel like I want to go ahead and diverge into this particular subject, because like I said before, my familiarity when it comes to the Gundam series is very noobish. I only know like 3 series at most, and that's about it. But there was one specific Gundam that I wanted to play for the longest time, and that was what I refer to as the Big Shield Gundam, which is basically the GP02 from Stardust Memory. Now, with that being said, I was like, okay, but can I play as him eventually? Is there a game that I can actually play as him? And whenever I first played through like the first 5 missions of this game, I saw it. And when I saw it, I went, I get to play as this Gundam! My favorite Gundam design, and I get to play as him! Finally! Oh, I've been wanting to play as this Gundam for a long time because of how cool he looks. He's so cool! Only to realize, technically the pilot that pilots him is evil. He's part of the Xeon group, and he ends up stealing this Gundam. And it's like, oh, I need to watch this series so that way I know the story. But again, I love the design of this Gundam. This Gundam, I love this Gundam. I love this Gundam too much. But battling as him was so much fun and enjoyable. Oh, it's so cool. I love it. And then, of course, I started playthrough as some of these other Gundams, like Seed Gundam, 00, and then eventually I dive into Unicorn, because I was curious. I was like, okay, I remember Unicorn Gundam being like a recent-ish, keyword recent-ish. I know there's been like 4 or 5 new ones since then, I think. I can't recall, but I knew about Unicorn Gundam. I'm like, let's see what this is like, you know? And at first it's straightforward until you use the special power move. And all of a sudden, it's basically Gundam on cocaine. Everyone's destroyed. What just happened? What is this supernova? What did that Gundam just do? I don't know. I don't know Unicorn Gundam, so I definitely need to watch this series to understand this, but this is my favorite Gundam to use during these campaigns. Even during hard mode, this Gundam rocks. It's like if you have it upgraded a certain way and you do what you're able to do in order to make it the best Gundam it can be, this thing is God. That's all I can say. You know how in Burning Gundam it's referred to as God Gundam? No, Unicorn Gundam is God Gundam. I'm going to tell you that right now because of how powerful the moveset is. It is just, if you launch this attack power, you're using it for a set period of time. And if you have a good group of enemies that you're slashing at and stuff like that, it rebuilds the SP gauge relatively quickly. So imagine in this case, you launch SP power, then you have that power for a limited time, building up the SP gauge again. Then when it runs out, you can just reuse it again, infinite number of times. This thing is broken. This thing is utterly broken, and I love it. Just, oh my gosh. I know nothing about the anime, but this Gundam is such a powerhouse. I cannot believe how well this thing is. Alright, so I'm sure you're probably asking the curious question. How do you unlock Musha Gundam Mark II, and of course a new one, Night Gundam? Well, Night Gundam is actually relatively simple. You just have to beat through the story campaign in which where eventually unlock a mission that allows you to beat Night Gundam, and then you get to pilot Night Gundam. And eventually you will get to unlock the pilot known as Night Gundam, to where you can use him and be able to pilot and stuff like that. And yeah, that's the nice thing. You don't have to worry about earning the license for the Night Gundam. Anyone and everyone can use Night Gundam right off the bat, and I love that. You don't have to worry about earning a license. Now, for Musha Gundam and Musha Gundam Mark II, they require a little bit of work. Obviously, yes, you do have to raise your friendship ranks a little bit, but thankfully it's not a lot. It's just like a certain set number of characters have to be at least level 4 or 5. Let me just say this right now. I love the friendship system in this one. This one's a little bit more permanent and not so much seesaw effect, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, if I beat them in a mission campaign or something like that, their rank will go down. No, they'll go up and they'll stay going up. Eventually, you'll have all the characters going to be at level 5 at some point or another, and before you can get them to be at level 5, they have to be at level 4, and then you unlock a mission that allows their friendship meter to go up to level 5. Then, after that, if you get like, I think it's like 25 or so altogether into level 4 or above, then you get to unlock the mission that allows you to access these particular hard mode challenges, which is Challenge of the Giants and Challenges of the Past. Challenge of the Giants allow you to play as Musha Gundam if you beat through all 4 of them. And then when you beat through all 8 of Trials of the Past, you get to play as Musha Gundam Mark II. And like I said, they're on hard mode. But you know what? With Unicorn Gundam,
Whoever sticks their head out will take the chase locked off. Take this! Now it's my turn.
it's doable. I'm not even exaggerating. Unicorn Gundam is OP as shit. Like, you look at this and you just go, where'd all the other Gundams go? They just disappeared. Oh my gosh. It's so OP, but I love it. Oh my gosh. But the cool thing is that, like I said before, as you unlock these Gundams, you can then upgrade them. And eventually you'll attain level plans such as like level 3 or level 4. And these can be powered up, supercharged, and everything like that. Level them up however way you feel like you need to level them up. Whether it's just for brute strength or high defense or maybe across the board. However way you want to increase their powers. Then you have special abilities that allow them to be a little bit more versatility. Maybe a little bit faster. Maybe a little bit better in combat. Maybe a little bit more usable in some ways. And it's just, it makes all Gundams usable in some form or fashion. And it just makes it so enjoyable. So instead of just trying to level up friendships and stuff like that in order to unlock missions, the biggest thing is just leveling up the Gundams and making the best Gundam you can possibly make. And I love it. I have no major complaints for the third one. There's no complaint that I can have for this third one. I mean, some people might say there's just a lot of missions. Yeah, but the coolest thing is that any playable character has those missions unlocked. You just pick the character you're going to be playing as, and then all the missions are just what they are, you know? So if you've already beaten the mission with one character, it's going to be already beaten. It's just a matter of going through the missions, unlocking all the Gundams, purchasing all the license and everything like that. That's about it. And again, this is just so great. This is, again, and my brother even asked me, of the 3 Gundam games, we know Gundam 1 isn't going to be good. Of 2 and 3, which one do you like the best, and which one are you going to most likely go back to? Third one, and the third one. And that says a lot, because the second one I was praising a lot of, until I was thinking about the friendship thing, and unlocking Musha Gundam and Musha Gundam Mark II, and yeah, I don't want to do that again. I hate that. That's so tedious, and I absolutely hate it. But the third one, being able to have all the friendships ranked up, never have to worry about it decreasing across the board, being able to access them, easy menu navigation and stuff like that. And the missions are just fun. The missions are so fun. Even on hard mode, they are so fun. And it's just, again, from playing from the first one, going through the second one, and then eventually getting to the third one, I've went through one hell of a journey when it comes to this game series. And I have to say, it just keeps getting better. Sadly, though, we never got another Dynasty Warriors Gundam game, sadly. We had, like, Reborn and then another one that was released, but they were only Japan exclusive as far as I can remember, because I was looking into it, thinking to myself, is there a fourth one? But there isn't, sadly. And it kind of sucks, because, again, the third one, magnum opus of the Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Perfect. No complaints. Absolutely wonderful. Again, the only downside of the fact, if you've been caught up with the anime series of Gundams, and you know all the other Gundams that have been introduced and stuff like that, this is a little bit dated, admittedly, but the gameplay is just solid and perfect. And the only complaint that I have to say about the third Dynasty Warriors Gundam, it's only available for PlayStation 3. I mean, yeah, also Xbox 360, I believe. Yeah, for me, if I was a Sony exclusive person, my only access would be the PlayStation 3. And, well, I have a love-hate relationship with that system anyway. So, yeah, that could be a problem. But, hey, it's a wonderful game. So, obviously, if I'm going to be rating each game, Dynasty... wrong one. Dynasty Warriors Gundam 1, I would give it a 2 out of 5. Only because of the fact of how slow this game can be at times, you know? And it can be hard and repetitive depending, but if you just love hack and slash games and you just love Gundams, this one's a good one to play, but 2 out of 5. You could easily pick up Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2, and it would be a better experience. In fact, I would argue and say this is probably a 3 out of 5, maybe even a 3.5 out of 5, depending. And like I said, the only complaint that I have is the fact that when you go through mission mode, you have to unlock all the Gundams for that specific pilot again. And that can get tedious, especially with how many playable characters there are. But the third one is the best of the best. The third one is indeed the best of the best. Everyone is correct on our top 10 list. If you had to pick a Dynasty Warrior game, this one is the one to do it for Gundams. The third one is the best. It's just, it is. There's nothing wrong with it. It's got perfect menu setup. All the Gundams can be unlockable for all characters. And yeah, it's a much funner and much more enjoyable game. And I have to say, after playing through the third one, I actually liked the Unicorn Gundam. At first, I didn't have any feelings for Unicorn Gundam because I hadn't really seen it. Now, I actually want to watch the series and find out what the frick is this Gundam? What is this thing? This is nuts. So yeah, third Dynasty Warriors Gundam, definitely worth picking up if you ever get a chance. So yeah, it's 5 out of 5. So yeah, that wraps it up for this video review slash first entry into diving into my backlog of games. And yeah, it was actually enjoyable. I really had fun playing through these games, despite my disappointment for the first one, and liking the second one, only to realize the mundane tasks that I would have to go through for the second one, but then ultimately falling in love with the third one. Like, absolutely non-stop. And while the thing is that my Dynasty Warriors, like, hype died down a little bit, my Gundam kick has not been quenched yet. My Gundam fandom is still kind of growing, and it's like, what the hell? What can I do? What can I... Well, since I've got the PlayStation 3 on, why not, right? So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Catch you guys later.
Possibilities.
This is not funny!
Then why am I